All right. Welcome back to my spiritual experience with your host, Brother Sadiq. Today, we have a new guest, someone who I have known for a bit of time. She is a friend of my mom's, actually. So rest in peace to my mom.
Love her.
And that is our original connection. And so she has had her own spiritual experiences. Her name is Tammy Clemmens. I like to call her Tammy TMI Clemmens because she is too much inspiration.
Oh,
And so
starting off
today,
correctly.
yeah. Like, well, like I said, I try to get a good gauge on the people who I have on this show because, like I said, we don't do the crazies, but we do the ones who are on the extreme edge of spiritual life. So that is exciting to me. And today we have Tammy here. And so we're going to get into it here. Of course, as we always do, it's freestyle. We move off the spirit, and this is an interview, so you can get to know some of the community. I'm sure later we'll probably get into more. We'll probably do another one, but it'll be beyond the interview at that point.
Okay, sounds
And
fun.
so we have Tammy here, and I just wanted to say thank you for being here.
Well, I would like to say thank you for having me. I have been so excited for this. This is my favorite thing to talk about. And I just want to say hi to everyone and tell everybody that I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. I am simply sharing my experiences.
And that is a wonderful thing because that is the idea, right? To make spirituality an everyday, common thing for us to talk about at the water cooler.
Yes, well, it is for me. If anybody knows me, they'll already know.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. We have to have those people who are not uncomfortable talking about spiritual experiences and sharing the reality of their life in relation to spirit.
Right. These are just things that I've went through that are like any other piece of my life. I just tend to hold these a little more dear, some of them a little more dear to my heart.
Yeah. I find that most people have had some sort of spiritual experience in their life. And what we generally find with that is that people are, like you said, they hold it close to themselves. It's not something they're just comfortable talking about, generally speaking, because they don't realize the value of speaking about it.
And a lot of times I think people try to talk them out of their experiences. So they're a little afraid maybe to share. They don't want people to look at them like they're, crazy, even though a lot of these people have probably had experiences themselves and they've talked themselves out of it.
Yeah. I think we have experiences that are outside of what we're comfortable with. And it's like a defense mechanism almost to say, no, that didn't really happen. I'm just, and remove it from your mind.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people also are kind of indoctrinated and they're afraid of these experiences. It's maybe like not Christian or whatever religion they happen to follow. And there's such a wide array that I've struggled with that at some points in my life. So I understand it. But I've kind of went beyond that now and said, you know what, my experiences are mine. Nobody's going to talk me out of it. I'm going to share my experiences, even if people think I'm crazy. I'm okay with that. I've been called worse.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. And I think that in the bigger scheme of things that, people like yourself are influencing others, unbeknownst to yourself, maybe. Right. Just by sharing, because people, like I said, I believe it's the spiritual experience is way more common to the human experience than people like to talk about. But when it's shared, more people feel more comfortable talking about it and bringing it out. And that, like I said, that's the idea of the show, to make spirituality, an everyday conversation, a part of our everyday life, because, my idea is that our base itself is spirit.
Yes, that's actually like this is our natural form that people are trying to take away from us and conform us into what they think we should or should not be, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we're, like they say, we are the soul or the spirit having a physical experience. And I think one of the things that traps most people is that the physical becomes more real and more expressive, and the only part of themselves that they are willing to recognize as real.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I didn't mean to cut you.
No, you're fine.
Go ahead, please.
I lost my train of thought. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
That happens to me frequently.
Okay. Well, I just, we're kind of just going on here. I do want to get into you, right? That sounded wrong. What I meant, I do want to get into the interview. Right. So,
spirituality.
Yes. Thank you. Namaste. What I'd like to do though is, I like to start most of these interviews in the same spot. What is your earliest memory of some spiritual experience that you had that let you know that there was something going on outside of the everyday story that they tell us?
So the first one I can remember was probably when I was around 10 or so. My background is I grew up in a Christian home with the roots and the Pentecost. Like I wasn't Pentecost myself, but I did go to a Pentecostal church when I was younger, mainly for the ice cream. I'm not gonna lie, we all went for the ice cream.
So you said the Rets and the Pentecost?
The roots. The roots.
Oh, the roots, and I got
you. Your Pentecost is the roots.
Got that twang on there. Okay, I got
you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I was with my mom, and we didn't go to church every Sunday, but my mother would go to different ones and try them out. And we were on our way to church this one particular Sunday, and I was just kind of gazing out the window, and I just remember thinking, why do I even have to go here? Why is she making me do this? Is God even real? And I heard very distinctively a voice say, I am real. And I was so shocked. I turned to my mom and was trying to tell her, I said, oh my gosh, Mom, I just asked God, is God real? And I heard the voice and it said, I am real. And she's like, yeah. And she just kept on driving. Yeah, everybody knows God's real. What's
like, but I heard a voice, Mom.
I'm like, you don't understand.
Right.
But that experience stuck with me still to this day, apparently. And then I just kind of, lived my normal life for a number of years.
Well, let me ask you before you go on.
Sure.
When you experience the voice of God, let me ask you, what was the takeaway? Like, did it change your perception about going to church, or did it make you want to go to church more? Did you want to read the Bible? Did it influence you in any way to educate yourself in the way of the world as religion goes?
Not at 10. I was just like, okay, God's real then. All right.
Okay. That's great. I just was wondering.
That answered that question.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. So then like I said, I just, for a number of years, I just lived my normal life. I was a kid, been doing kid things. And then after I had my first daughter, I was at a friend's house. And when I went home that night, I had a very bizarre dream about her grandfather. But
how old were you at this age?
I would say early 20s.
Okay.
Probably early to mid 20s, somewhere around in there. And up until this time, I had just thought dreams are junk that has happened through our day, and it's our brain processing it, because that's what I had been taught,
Right.
So on this particular day, I had a dream about my friend's grandfather. At the time, I didn't know it was her grandfather, but I called her and I'm like, I had this very strange dream. There was this man named Charles or Charlie, and she's like, that's my grandfather. I was like, oh, okay. Well, he told me that you may not remember him. He loves you, and something about the baby. And she said, oh, you don't know what happened to me yesterday. And I said, well, what happened? And she said, we were in a car accident, and the baby's car seat had been broken. And something told me before we left to fix the car seat. And he was the only one not seriously injured, or not injured in the accident. They had some bruises, but the baby was fine. And so then I'm like, that was very strange. Yeah. And I had 2 more subsequent dreams after that were a little more, not as clear cut, I should say, a little more abstract. Right. But that started me thinking, oh, wait a minute, dreams
are relevant.
Something, and there's in them that maybe I should investigate. And that kind of led me off on a whole different direction with the dream state. And most people are scared of my dreams at this point, because if I say, oh, I had a dream about the years, they're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh no.
Well, I love the fact that it was a wake up call for you. You know what I
It
mean?
really made me look at things differently and see that there is so many gems hidden in our dreams if we just take the time to look into it.
So let me tell you about a dream. In fact, there have been two dreams that I've had, and I believe they're of the same place. And like I keep going to this place, but it's a wonderful place. But anyway, let me explain. So there is one dream where I am standing at the tree line of a large forest, right? It could be like a very tall trees, right? And I'm standing at the very edge of the tree line, and across from so between where I'm standing and another tree line, or the another part of the forest, is a field that's probably as wide as 2 football fields, right? Well, I'm standing at a tree line and I'm looking across this large field at another set of trees that, are pretty much evenly cut with this line of grass going down the middle, right? Very large. And I'm standing there. This is where I appear in the dream. I'm standing there and I'm looking, and it's just beautiful. It's like beautiful green grass and the trees. It's a forest, and it's like almost a calm mist, and suddenly the ground, I start feeling rumbling in the ground.
Okay.
And it gradually increases. And I'm like, what is on the earth? What on earth could be doing this? Right. And as I'm looking, I look to the right, and I'm standing, like I said, right inside the tree line. And as I look to the right, there are these buffalo. I mean, millions of buffalo coming, rumbling the ground, running between this giant forest. And I'm standing at the tree line watching it in total awe, like,
right. As one would be, yes.
Like, oh my God.
From the buffalo.
Yes. So this dream, of course, you may not automatically understand what that dream is. So it's like what they call manifest, right? It presents its education later, right?
Yes.
In the process of time, right? So I had that dream, and then there's this other dream that I had, and I'm very confident that these both are the same place, right? They feel so much like the same place. In the second dream, I couldn't actually see my physical self, but my presence was there, right? And I was standing at the edge of a shore of the ocean that was, it was extremely, you could say volatile, but it wasn't like scary volatile. It was just like, it was almost like a new earth, and this was the newest ocean, and the waves were just huge, and it was like, so that's what it feels like. It feels like the waves were part of this dream, because it was just like I was in awe. I was standing there in awe again of the waves and the size of the ocean and all of it. It's just the nature scene, and both of these places feel like the exact same place, and it feels like seeing the beginning of a new earth come.
Funny you say that, because I do remember a dream from when I was a child, and it was like another planet was above me. And on that planet, they were on a beach and everybody was laughing and happy. And I was like, I want to be there. And then, which leads me to another question. One time I was having a conversation with God, and I was homesick. Really, I just felt very homesick for a place that I don't remember, If anybody knows, they know. And I was, kind of crying out to God, and I was like, I'm homesick for someplace I don't even know. And I know it's different than here. And this is never going to be like there. And God very distinctly said to me, why can't it be? And I could not think of one reason why it could not.
Now we are going where God is sending us.
And that is what I'm trying to bring with me. I want to, my life's mission, what I've made my life's mission is to share fun, happiness, love, joy, compassion to everyone I encounter. That is literally what I try to do every single day.
That is your job, and that is beautiful. That is a beautiful and wonderful idea for life itself. What I'd like to say about you mentioning God saying, why can it not be? Right?
Why can't it be?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, why can't it be? Because I was having this conversation for probably the last 48 hours, right, with different people about the different expressions of spiritual people, right? And our mutual friend Aubrey, actually, right? Our mutual friend, he's been on the show.
Yes.
Aubrey said that there are hierarchies and there are levels, and he mentioned
Mhm.
something about someone putting a hurdle in your way, and in your worldly perspective, they may seem like a challenge or someone you don't like. But
Yes.
from a spiritual perspective, they are actually saying you can go higher than where you are, and there is a higher hurdle for you to jump, and I
Yes.
just believe in you.
Yeah.
And
What you don't hear is that, let me help you grow.
yes. And so that takes the spiritual ear and eye to catch from the scenario. But
Yes.
what I was wanting to say about that is and I don't want this to come across as arrogant or egotistical or assholish or any of that. But ultimately, I'm just being honest. Like, I was talking to somebody just last night about I don't feel, me personally, that
Uh-huh.
I am here to pressure people to work towards getting to heaven or protecting themselves from hell. I don't feel like that's my job. I don't feel like
Yeah.
that's relevant in
I don't
my
either.
life's purpose and task. I feel
Yeah.
like my life's purpose and task is to allow people to understand that heaven is within us, right?
Yes.
And the righteous souls who are here are those who are the ambassadors for the kingdom of heaven. Okay, this is what I believe, and this will sound crazy, it's bold, it's whatever you want to say, but the world will ultimately have to know this anyway.
Right.
So I feel like we are ambassadors for God's kingdom. I feel like my purpose, intention, and reason for being here is to help others reach their full potential, right?
Yes.
That we should understand just the commonality that most of us, and if you look throughout history, most humanity have not reached their full potential,
No, not even
right?
close.
Yeah. And so ultimately, is that not something that we think we should possibly be working towards as a human species and a human family, right? Our
Yes.
full potential, and with the heartbreak and the sadness of the reality of so many of us not reaching our full potential. Can we not work the rest of our lives to make sure our children do?
Right. And I've already began with my children, my grandchildren. They're already, I'm talking to them about things that people don't normally talk about. So
Yes,
when they go out into the world, they will have these things to hold on to.
yes. And so that's ultimately my vision. I feel like that's why I'm here. I feel like I'm more here to help people express their highest version of themselves. Like, I feel like that's why we are all here, right? That we're supposed to be expressing this spiritual energy that is light, love, sun, God, good, whatever you want to call it, from the source. And we're supposed to be
Yes.
expressing it to our highest abilities, right?
Yes.
And most of us, sadly, fear being who we truly are.
Well, the fear is so thick throughout all of the world. It's hard to get beyond that fear. Just when
Yes,
you get ready to break through, there's somebody, something, some situation that tries to bring you back down.
yes,
And getting beyond that it's not an easy challenge, but it is possible. It is
yeah.
possible.
I agree 100%, and I think it is the
And I love
only.
your mission. I'm happy to be part of your mission.
Yeah. So, I'll even say this. I'll even go further, because this show, the idea behind this show is, of course, to make spirituality part of the everyday experience.
Yes.
To make spirituality accessible to the everyday Joe, right?
I
Uh,
learned a very hard lesson when it comes to other people and my own spirituality. It was learned through tears and attack. It felt like I had an idea for a program, and I took it to a religious institute because I thought maybe they could help me. And instead of helping me, they literally attacked my own spirituality. They
mm,
came at me with like, "What church do you go?" They literally started with, "Well, we have a few problems with your program." I said, "Hey, please help me. I've never done this before. This is why I came to you. And what they said to me was, well, our first problem is you're just a new Christian. And that's pretty much where they lost me right there. And then it was a parade of, what church do you go to? What Bible studies are you into? Like, da, 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 da. They had a whole line. And I said, I am literally only trying to help people. What does this have to do with helping people? And I had said something about meditation, and she said, oh, and you have to watch out about meditation that borderlines on the satanic. And I said, ma'am, meditation is in the Bible. If you're going by the Bible, meditation's in the Bible. And she says to me, no offense, but you don't know how they meditated. And I said, no offense, but neither do you. So after the phone call and several tears, because I felt very attacked, I went into my satanic meditation. And the message that I received was, Tammy, you have learned a very valuable lesson today. My relationship with you is between me and you. You do not let anybody else judge that. However, my relationship with them is between myself and them. You are not to judge that. And I took that. I have lived my life with that. And that has caused me to have two categories. I try my very best not to judge. I have for me and not for me. So if somebody's doing something, I'm like, are you happy? Okay, well, that's for you. But that might not be for me. And I try to live my life by that.
I so approve of that. It's a wonderful acceptance of the reality of everyone's own personal path.
Yes.
Yeah.
And everybody's not in the same place. So I feel my job is just to love them where they are and try to provide encouragement, maybe some hope if they feel hopeless, just to be a good person, what I consider a good person. Because there was a time in my life where I looked in the mirror and I wasn't really thrilled with the person I saw standing before me. And I had to really dig deep and do some soul searching and make changes in my life so that now when I look in the mirror, I'm very happy and I'm very grateful for the life that I lead.
Right. And so that is the most important thing, because what like we were, this kind of, I think, sprung from the idea of people not being able to express themselves.
Exactly.
Not having full expression is, I think, a real detriment, not only to society, but to the individual, because it leads to things like anxiety.
Yes.
It leads to things like depression.
Yes.
And all of this is simply, in my opinion, I'm not clinically, licensed in any, psychological profiling, but in my opinion, I feel like most of our psychological concerns in this world are spiritual concerns.
I believe that as well. But looking into yourself is not an easy task.
I agree. 100% I agree. And so for those who do it, it's always, to me, it's always a thing where I'm like, hats off, because the fact of the matter is most people don't have the bravery. It is a thing of courage and a thing of bravery and a thing of self-analyzation that you have to eventually take on if you are actually looking to become your best self.
Yes. And it's very necessary. And for the people who are afraid to do it, I would encourage you, because it is so worth it. It is so worth it to look at those places of yourself that you may not be really happy with, and to make those changes.
Yeah, it is. It's no one else can do it, and there is no outside source that can change what you feel and what you're experiencing within yourself.
Exactly.
And so we allow, everyone's opinions, mom, dad, friends, family, lovers, whatever, whoever. We allow those opinions to, bar our expression of ourselves.
We do. We try to dim our light, and we should not. We should let that light shine brightly.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what, like I said, I feel like that's one of my goals, is to not only do it for my own self, but to show and share that is our reason for being here. Like, people go into, you know, the deepest thoughts about, well, why did God create life? Why are we here? What is the purpose of life? And all of those things. And I think it's pretty obvious if you just look around. It's you know, that you reach your fullest, just like the plants. They grow and they bloom and they have fruit and they have flowers and they, you know, process through seasons. And so this is the same for us. But ultimately, it's like most of us, the fears stops our growth. You know what I mean? And it's sad to me. It's so heartbreaking because you see, you know, I don't know what level of spiritual insight you have, but I see inside of people the light of God. I can see the life in them, and it's like they are so layered with forms of protection, right?
Yes.
That's what it is. You know what I mean? That's what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to peel those away, it takes some work and it takes time and it takes bravery, like you said. Yeah. But I do feel like being your authentic self allows others the freedom to also be their authentic self.
Yes, that's why I say I think it's so valuable that we do it. And that's why it's always hats off to those who I see willing to express themselves. So literally hats off, young lady.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had no choice. Not to take all the credit. I really literally had no choice.
And that, you know, that's reality, because like I cannot do what my spirit is calling me to do. You know what I mean? Yes. I can't live with myself. You know what I mean? I can't look in the mirror. If I don't feel good about me and who I've been and who I'm being, it doesn't matter what the world thinks. They could think I'm great. They could think I'm everything, you know, on the ice cream.
You go home and look at yourself and you're like,
Yeah, that's what we have to live with. And that's
I'm in a place where I live the opposite. I come home, I'm happy with me. And if the outside world doesn't like it, that's okay.
Yeah.
You're not there yet. It's fine.
And that's what has to happen. That's where we all have to eventually get to. Because
but even if they don't get it at that moment, at least maybe I've planted a seed that they can cultivate and grow later.
That is a part of my prayer, right? Like you know, like that's a consistent part of my prayers and my meditations and all of that, is that what I express to the world is, you know, like an apple apple has a fragrance, it has a color, it has a, you know, oranges, you know, lemons, all of these things that they have fragrances and energy and light, and you see them and you get a certain vibe. And I just hope to emanate from myself that, right? Yes. Love. I want to emanate from myself, my presence, love. You know, I want you to get something, even if you don't know me, if we don't have a conversation, if we just walk by each other in the grocery store. I hope that something of good comes to you from me. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, we are all love. That is who we are. And that leads me to, so the very first time I ever meditated, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to disclaim, this does not happen to everybody. This was my experience. Yeah. So I was in a place where I wasn't happy. I wasn't sad. I just was kind of blah. You know, my life just felt kind of lather, rinse, repeat, if you want to put it like that. And so I had read about meditation and I thought, well, let me try this and just see what happens. So I read through the meditation a few times before I put it on. I put my little music on, and then I went into the breathing techniques and went into my meditation. And for the first time, like I said, I knew God was real because he had told me, right? But for the first time ever, I felt it. I felt the adoration, because it's beyond love. It's like the adoration that God has for us. It's like when you have a little baby and you just you just kiss them. They're so scrumptious. You could just eat them up and love them. That's how God feels about us. And I came out of that meditation and I was like, oh, God is real, but like really real.
That is wonderful.
And we're adored, and there's nothing that we can do to make him not love us. And not only that, but none of this is real. None of this is real. The only thing real here is love. And I was in a state of euphoria for probably like 2 months, because I'm like, once somebody knows all of this is an illusion, like, how can you be sad again, right? Because it's not even, you can do anything. And I was so thrilled and happy and euphoric that I just wanted to run out and share this with everybody. This isn't real. You don't have to be sad. Like, all this real is love. Look, everybody's not ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody is not ready for that message, but I'm very grateful that I was ready at that moment, because it really, really changed. Now that changed the trajectory of my life. That right there, that moment.
Yeah. It sounds wonderful.
The only truth is love.
It sounds wonderful. I mean, the experience of, the way you explain that, it gave me a certain amount of chill bumps, and I really enjoyed it. Like to recognize that you are adored. Like I've never had that experience, and I'm jealous. I want to.
God knows us, right? And He knows I love to be adored, so that's why He
Yes,
came to me.
I so look forward to that experience. Like, wow, yeah, I'm sure it could be extremely life-changing. But
it was, because I knew at that moment also that God doesn't really judge us. Like, we judge ourselves.
yes,
God is not judging us. He is standing with us, helping us learn in the most loving of ways. Even though it probably, like I said, I was like, and once you know this, how can you ever be sad again? But then life has this way of kind of just roping you back in to the muck. I call it the muck. But that's something to hold on to when you're into that space. You can remind yourself.
I agree 100%. That's something I've long shared with, people in my community. I say, when we have these experiences that are because, spirituality is extremely personal, right?
Yes, very.
And so when we have these experiences, though we share them with the world or we share them with other people, ultimately, I feel like they're utilized as tools to always recenter us when we are caught into the muck and the chaos of this BS matrix, right?
Right.
So
I do see, I have this other thing that happens to me. I don't know if it happens to everybody, but it's very prominent with me, is when I'm in an extreme amount of pain, it's like the beauty of the world is magnified to me. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But when my grandmother was leaving this earth, let's say, it's like I would just look outside at the trees, everything seems so much more beautiful to me. And I don't know if it's the pain that causes me to focus on something more beautiful, or if it's just something that God does for me to remind me that the world's not an ugly place. There's so much beauty in the world if we stop and just look around.
I don't know the answer to that question, but it feels like the expansion of love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I see more loving things. Like when she was in the nursing home, I noticed like the daughter brushing her mother's hair, and the grandchild, going and running up and wrapping their arms around someone. It's things that you kind of keep in your peripheral all day. Those things become very pronounced to me.
Mm-hmm. I guess in some way I could say I have those experiences. So I guess with me it's more like I don't really say, oh, I'm an empath and all that stuff, but I feel a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so often, I have to turn off that energy, right?
Yes.
Because that shit can make you just fucked up in this.
I call it. I have my bubble method. I call it Glinda the Good Witch. Because I like that kind of stuff. And I do breath work and make a bubble around myself, and nobody can come. Your energy is not allowed in my bubble.
Listen,
that's when I need a little break from
my best practice is I guess you could say controlling or organizing or attempting to order that energy is going into grocery stores, right?
Oh, okay.
Walmart, right? One of these large stores with all of the people, and you feel different.
Yes.
You go by different people, stuff like that. So, it's I find that experience in some ways it's cool, in some ways it can be daunting. And so like every occasion, occasionally I'll accept what is coming, right? I'll accept it all, right? From the whole of the world. And I'm about going through some Oh, you talking about some tears pouring? You talking about yeah,
Yeah.
you feel it's like you feel the pain of all of
You
it, and
do.
you know the beauty and the source and the possibility of it all, and you see the contrast, and it's like,
I know. I know. It's
you
hard
know
to
what
have
I'm
a heart.
saying? Like,
It's
oh
very
man,
difficult to have a heart in this world. They try to,
yes, it is. It
but
is
I will
very,
not let them
very.
stop me.
No, no, no. I hear that often too. I hear that often. You know, never grow weary of doing good.
And I think maybe for women it might be a little bit more I don't want to say easier, but I'm perfectly comfortable if I'm in Walmart and I see someone just having a total meltdown. I will cry with them. I will go there and put my arm around them. I will comfort them. I will cry with them. But like for men, that might come across as creepy or,
I'll say I've never done it.
right? But you see what I'm saying there.
Yeah, and this, it's sad, but that's a factor of social cues too. You know what I'm saying? I will say I have actually prayed with people though. Like people have actually, that was a shocking thing to me one day. There was a neighbor of mine, and she was like, "Joe Charles, could you pray with me?" And I'm like, "Sure, of course." And it was just me like, what made you assess that I was the guy that you needed to pray with you? It was,
You're like, what kind of signals am I giving off over here?
yeah. It was, I accepted it. It was cool, but it was also surprising. Like, okay, sure, that's surprising honor. You know what I mean? But yeah. So yeah, okay. We've just kind of gone.
It's okay. I'm sure. I hope they're enjoying our little tangent.
Yeah. I think it'll be valuable for people because I think it's kind of internalizing and it's giving the internal experiences of people who have these experiences.
Yes.
And so if you're having these experiences and you can relate to what we're talking about, then there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was going to say too with the meditation. So I am very much, if I don't know, I say I don't know. I'm not going to pretend. And people would ask me previously about past lives. Do you believe in past lives and this and that? And I would always say, I don't know. I have no idea. I have nothing to gauge it by. It's not mentioned in the Bible because at this point, I still do enjoy the Bible and go by scriptures of the Bible. So I don't want to act like I'm just some kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. I
understand the point of religion.
Yes, me and you both.
So but then I had experience. Then I had an experience through meditation where I remembered a past life. And so now you can't tell me that I've not been here before because I'm pretty sure I have a few times.
Well, this sounds like something that I'm sure my audience and myself definitely want to hear. A little teaser there for us.
Well, it was a meditation I did where you kind of start with your life where you're at now. And then you go back 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and you just keep going back. I'm not going back any further because I don't want people to know how old I really am right now.
Yes.
Just kidding. But and then you go beyond that. You go back to like the womb, and then you go beyond. So I tried this meditation and I literally remembered a life, and it's different than a regular memory because of the emotion. There's so much emotion attached to this memory,
Experience.
Yes. And where I was Native American and I was living amongst a tribe, and what a difference, what a huge difference that life was compared to this life. Because in that life, what I experienced was spirits just wander freely amongst. It's normal. It's normal. They did not think anything of it. It was a very peaceful life that I remembered.
So free. I mean, free of a body. Spirit.
Spirit would just move amongst the people, and they weren't like, okay, if we were in our house and you saw some spirit walk by, you would be like, I don't know about you, but I would probably have a heart attack and become a spirit. So
yeah, I don't seek to see anything pop into my
Exactly.
existence
But
out of
it
the
was
blue, right?
normal. It was normal life in that life that
Right.
it was just part of it. It wasn't scary. It was just,
So were they able to just communicate with the spirits like we communicate with each other?
um, yes, but it's not like they weren't honed in on each other. They were just kind of living parallel. I don't
Ah,
know how to explain it.
that is beautiful because that is actually the I guess you'd say the worldview of Islam, right? Islam says, and I mean this I'd say that's very throughout all of the religions that I've studied, that yes, this is the existence that we actually live in now, right?
Hmm.
Like we just don't see it,
We don't
like,
see it. I
you
guess
know,
that's the difference. Then you could, and it wasn't so much like I was seeing it, but I knew it and I sensed it.
right,
Where my senses in this life are not as honed
right.
and as they were at that point.
So yeah, I've had I've had a experience of I was actually with a waking vision where I saw myself in a physical body that was other than this one.
Hmm.
Uh, and so yes, I do believe that there are, we've lived in other lives or times. And the reason I say it was a different time is because I was sitting on a corral, where you corral animals, but it was made of wood that was just like trees that were laced together versus, the cut wood that we use that's all pretty today.
Right.
And I was sitting on the corral, and it was like probably 9 kids in front of me. And I was like telling them a story, and I couldn't quite tell the words that I was saying, but it was obvious of the energy that I was telling them a story that they thought was entertaining and funny, but it was also deep wisdom for their education. And so I recognized that. And you know my Uncle Cleveland, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I was about his height, about his build, and yeah, so I had this experience of seeing myself, and I was fully awake, and I experienced my consciousness being there and here. It was the craziest.
It is
Yeah,
crazy. It does
yeah.
feel kind of like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I knew that was me. Like,
Yeah.
how is, what I'm saying? Yeah, so I had that experience, and so yeah, I think I didn't even really too much care about other lives, right? I didn't care
Right.
whether that I lived. Hey, what is this relevance to what I got to do today? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So what I'd never put any attention to it, but when I had that vision, it it's definitely relevant to what I do now, right? Like, so my vision for this
It kind of
community.
carried forward into,
Yes,
yes.
yes. Me teaching the children. It's the whole vision of my 24-hour community center and helping like, if I could put what into a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, and
Hmm.
in 10 years they grow with that.
Yes.
If we could take a generation of 8-year-olds and put everything that we know from deep spirit and high science into these children, and
Yes.
we teach them from that, what we're creating is heaven on earth. Because they're going to create in pure harmony and balance with everything that's around them. And this is the future vision and version of life that I see for our world.
Yes.
So that's my efforts, right? And this show is part of it. Honestly, I hope to find souls who recognize and are willing to sacrifice for those children, because it's the only future that is going to make any sense for us. Like, where we are and what we're doing, like, oh, teach the children are our future, all of that, right? But what we're going to teach, we're going to teach them to be a lawyer and a doctor, and the same thing that we've been teaching, and we just get another,
Generation. Yeah.
another generation of the same cycle of BS? Or are we going to teach them? Because this is the thing, right? Science has proven that these children can learn 5 languages by the time they're 8 years old. That means they're a super sponge in those years.
Yes.
So we can teach them high science, high spirituality, and they're going to soak it up. And it won't be a question of, let's remove this you were born a sinner mentality that you have, that you're a piece of SOB, you're nothing and all that stuff.
Right.
We have to remove from ourselves as we move towards spirit through the process of living in the matrix for all of our lives, and programming and the training. We have to remove all these things to become lights like we are now.
And it's not easy. That indoctrination is it's not easy, which So I've got a story that kind of ties a lot of things we've talked about, and it's when I went to Bali. I went to Bali a few years ago, and
India.
yes.
Very
Yes,
good.
I loved it.
Very
It was
good. Exotic place.
amazing
Spiritual
experience.
energy I hear all over the place.
Oh, the energy there is
Yeah.
scrumptious. Let me just
Very
say.
good. You exciting me. I can't wait to go to these things and have these.
It was actually so I had gotten this call for Reiki. I don't know if you maybe because since you dabble, you've heard of that.
Reiki.
Yeah, so I went to a class for it, and I thought that was the calling. That was not. It was for me. It was kind of a weird path. It was for me to meet this lady. I thought it was just for Reiki. It was to meet the lady who taught me that, and we kind of went down this path. And she offers this spiritual retreat to Bali. So I go to, by default, somebody couldn't go at last minute. I got to go. So as soon as I got there, it wasn't right away. Probably within by the second day, I could start hearing. It was the craziest experience. We had a friend that had just passed away. And I also had an ex-boyfriend who had passed away. And I could literally hear them talking to me, which I tried to dismiss because my religion didn't like that. So I tried to dismiss, this is my way of coping with grief. I'm having these hallucinations, you know. Okay. So until the point where the friend of mine, her name's Leah, she had passed away literally right before we left. And I heard her telling Leah Baugh, if anybody who knows her, I love you, Leah.
You just made me tingle. That was one of my very close friends as well.
I hear Leah.
I love Leah.
I love Leah. We love you, Leah.
Yes, we love you, Leah. Wow, that's
so
great.
I'm in the little
again.
I call it the tut-tut. It was this little round outside wooden tut-tut. It had like the grass and it was all open. You could literally see the forest all around you. So I'm sitting in here and I hear Leah telling me to tell my other friend, you tell her I'm okay. And I say, no, Leah, you tell her yourself. It'll mean more coming from you than it will coming from me.
Yes.
And like I said, I dismissed it. This is me and my grief trying to cope with losing my friend. So until
before you go on, how did you hear this? Because how did you hear it? Did you hear it in your ear? How did you hear it?
It's not like we're talking. It's like a voice in your mind, but it's not your own. I don't, if you've not experienced, it's kind of difficult to explain. It's almost like your own thoughts, but you know it's not your thoughts.
Right.
So this is why I'm dismissing it. So
you heard it in your inner being. Yes.
So I'm like, I'm coping with grief and I'm being crazy. Okay. So no, Leah, I'm not going to tell her that. You tell her yourself if you want her to know. And I go on about my day. That evening, which I have receipts, as the kids say nowadays, I have receipts. Right. That evening, my daughter, who's still back here in the States, she asked to borrow my car. So she sends me this message and she's like, Mom, ever since I picked up your car, all I can do is hear Leah. And she is telling me to let our friend know, Tiffany, to let her know that she is okay. And I said, you know what? All right, I will now. Okay, I will tell her now. Because apparently Leah is going to make me tell her.
That is amazing. So that is amazing.
That was the first Bali experience I had. And I also heard my ex as well just telling me, like, I'm okay, don't feel bad for things, you know, da 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 da. Right. So that was my very first thing that started happening right away. Then I'm walking around the grounds that we're staying, a place called Blue Karma. Go figure. Okay. By the way, if anybody goes there, it's a wonderful place. I see this statue of a Buddha. And I'm looking, I'm just taking pictures, you know, I'm just wandering around taking pictures of this and that because it's all new to me and I'm excited. And I'm taking pictures of this statue of Buddha. And I look at it and another friend on the retreat comes up to me and I said, is it just me? Because I feel like Buddha is looking into my soul. Like he's staring me down, like into my soul. She kind of looks at it and she goes, it is a little unnerving, isn't it? I'm like, I don't know. That's so strange. And then we went back for a meditation at that. We would every day. We would do yoga, meditation, have group things. So we went back for a meditation, and in my meditation, Buddha comes to me and welcomes me. He's like, hello, like, hi, I'm Buddha. Welcome. You know, like I know you know me and I know you, but welcome forward.
This is an excellent story. I'm really enjoying. Go forward.
Okay. So there's a lot to it. I'll try to condense it as much as I can. So
take your time though.
So I'm like, okay, Buddha just welcomed me. Strange. All right. Hi, Buddha. Thank you. You know, but I'm still kind of in this place. Like, I'm still a Christian. You know what I mean? I still follow Christ and his teachings. And I'm not sure how this fits into the puzzle.
Right.
So I pray about it. The next day we do a meditation, same time. This time I see Jesus and Buddha standing side by side. And they're literally holding hands, and God is shining like this light, but I know the light of God is shining out of both of their eyes. And I'm like, okay, Jesus just co-signed. We're good, Buddha.
Wow. You got me tingling over here. Wow. This is wonderful.
Then we go to this place called, it was the most auspicious of moons, whatever. They have a thing there. So it was the 5th full moon, which is the most auspicious according to the Bali and these people. And there is a place called the Water of God. It's a water temple.
Okay.
So we get in our, we have to wear the sarong. They have certain things you have to wear. And they have these fountains. There's like, I don't know, I think 12 of them. And you go down through each fountain and you just kind of, you know, it's a water purification. They call it water purification. Right. So the first little fountain I come to, I kind of sprinkle myself. Okay. Second one, I get a little more into it. By the third one, I just dunk my head over and I just start singing. Thank you. I'm the only one there singing. I don't care. I'm singing. Thank you, God. Thank you for this experience. Thank you for this life, for the messages. I'm just so grateful at this point. At some point during my singing, my hair kind of falls forward and makes this funnel. And as I'm singing, it literally feels like in this space, in this time, it is only God and myself. Everything else just disappears. And
all while under this water.
Yes.
The number 3.
The number 3, which 3 is very significant to me, but yes. So the third one, my hair falls. It's just me and God. I feel God. This is God's water, because that's what they tell you. This, whoever made this water temple came there and said, this is the water of God. He is here. And I'm like, okay. So then I tell my friend who's doing, I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to try this. Put your hair forward and sing. So I'm doing this like through all the fountains. And one of the ladies even told me, she's like, were you singing? I said, yes, I was. And I'm by nature, most people don't believe it, but I am more of a reserved kind of shy person. I did not care. So after that, they led us to the temple, which is
about the singing though. When she asked you, were you singing? How did she respond when you said yes, you were?
What was like, yes, I was. She was like, oh, okay. I thought I heard you. Kind of like, okay.
Okay, so it was a positive or a negative?
I think she was like, I'm not. She was unsure. Okay. She was like, okay, do your thing, but I don't know about that.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And I was at the point where I didn't care. So I was just in bliss.
I'm in spirit. It's me and God. I ain't worried about what y'all think.
No, not a bit. So then they take us to the water, to the temple, which, like I said, it's kind of misleading because it's outside. It's not an indoor temple. And typically they do not let outsiders into this space. But for whatever reason, well, we know the reason. They let us in this space. The priest is doing a blessing, and they come around and they bless me, and they take rice and they put it here, and on your chest.
Rice?
So pieces of rice. It's just part of their thing that they do. I'm not sure I am unsure of what it stands for. You would have to Google that. But as he comes and puts the rice on these certain points on my body, all of a sudden, like, whoosh, I get a deja vu to the trillionth. I'm like, I have been here. I don't think I've been here. I'm not sure if I've not been here. I have been here. I know it without a shadow of a doubt. I've been here. But how? Because I've never been here. You know what I mean? So I start immediately praying. I'm like, God, I know I've been here. This is all familiar, but I don't know in what capacity. Please help me, enlighten me with that. I don't know if it's, did I spend a past life here? Like, I don't understand. So we leave, we go about our day. I just kind of leave it there, but I'm really in a high vibe right now. Like I'm vibing high. So the next day we go, we were in our group, and all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, I dreamt this. I remember this dream. It was like 10 years prior. It was a long time ago, but I was here in this place with these people doing yoga. Like I remembered that part of the dream. And then when I remembered that, it started helping me remember the other parts. I was at that temple. I was in this place. And for some reason, that just really made me start feeling very emotional. I started just kind of feeling, I don't know, I can't really describe it. I just felt very emotional. Like I wanted to cry, but I don't know why. So everybody had left to go to breakfast, and they're like, are you coming? I said, well, give me a minute, because I'm just gonna sit here for a second. I didn't tell anybody what was going on, but I wanted to process what I was feeling.
Say, was it like an emotion of harmony that made you feel emotional? Was it the harmony of,
honestly, I couldn't even put words to what emotion it was. It was just, I just felt like crying. I don't know why. It just struck a chord with me, and I'm still uncertain. And my plan was, at the edge of the tut-tut thing, I was going to sit there, look onto the forest, and pray and talk to God and just say, what is this about?
Right.
That is not what happened. God had other plans. So what happened was, the lady who led the yoga, she said, hey, are you okay? And I told her what I just told you, but now I'm start crying. And I'm like, for some reason, this is just making me very emotional, and I don't understand it. And she said, do you mind if I put you in a yoga pose? I said, yes, yeah, by all means. So she put me in a pose called the open heart. And it's basically like you're laying on your back with your arms out to your sides. And there's like a thing under you. It opens your heart space, supposedly. So when she started doing that, then I started going, oh no, this is making it worse. Like I'm getting more emotional, and I just start like crying, and I don't even know why at this point. So
she getting it out. She pushing it on through.
She's getting it out.
Like, no,
you don't need to.
No.
I know. So she said, wait. It's okay. She's like, let me shake up the energy. So she comes down to my leg.
I'm sorry, this is just funny to me. Oh no, you pushing it out more.
I'm not ready.
I said, you're bringing more of it.
You were supposed to help me.
Oh, that's crazy. That's a good one, though. You're like, hey, no, it's coming out. No.
Right.
That's great. That's wonderful.
She says, wait. Let me break up the energy. You need your energy broken up. So she goes down to my legs. She starts kind of like shaking them around a bit. I go, oh no. Because now it's getting, when you think it can't get more intense, right? So she starts saying, what is this? Oh my gosh, what is this? What is this coming in? Something is coming in. And I go, I don't know. And about the time I yelled that.
I'm sorry. This isn't supposed to be funny like this.
It's all right.
This is tickling me to death. Oh no! So is it just you and her? Are there other people?
There was one other lady that I was unaware of, but she told me later that she experienced the whole thing. And so when she said, I said, I don't know. And as soon as I yell, I don't know, I feel a force. I don't even know what it was.
Oh my God!
And it entered from like the bottom, and it traveled up my body, and it came out my mouth, and I was like. Like I just made this like cry.
Wow.
And my whole body started trembling. It was like I don't want to say electrocution, because it like that would hurt, but it was like a power surge, just like a shock to my senses. And I'm like, my whole body's vibrating, and I sit up, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened. please somebody explain to me what just happened, because I have no idea what just happened.
Right.
And so I get myself calmed down because I'm just bawling hysterically at this point. Don't even know why. So she's sitting there, and I get myself calmed down, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm looking at her. I'm like, for explanation, like, I don't know what just happened. Can you please help me figure out what just happened? And she's looking into my eyes, and all of a sudden she goes, oh my God, I'm feeling everything you're feeling. I'm feeling it all. And now we're both like, we're both just like crying.
Spirit.
And we're both confused. Like,
yes, this is wonderful. That's the beauty of spirit. We're all confused. Like, what
is happening?
What's happening?
And I felt very otherworldly for like the whole rest of the day. Like I was here, but I wasn't quite here. Now, the lady that was in there that I was telling you I was unaware of, because I obviously have a lot of crap going on at the moment. Right. She came up to me at breakfast because I finally gathered myself and went to join everybody else. And first the yoga leader, her name was Lily. She was like, do you want me to leave? This is a very personal experience. And I said, absolutely not. I was like, if you weren't here, I would think I just went crazy and have lost my mind. But now that I have a witness to this, it's making me feel like this was a real experience. So the other lady who was there, she came up to me at breakfast and she goes, I was in there for that whole thing. She said, I just want you to know that when that happened, the whole energy of this place shifted, of the building that we were in. She's like, I felt it as well. Just like maybe not as intensely as Lily and I were, but she was like, the whole energy just shifted. And then we went back after breakfast and everybody was coming back and I hadn't told anybody really what had happened. And they're all coming back. They're like, it feels different in here. Like this, it feels so strange. I was like, you think you feel strange?
Yeah. Sounds really, really exciting. So, it sounds to me like you were obviously being initiated and transformed into something more than you were before you came.
I mean, I would love to be like, I came out a whole new different person. It wasn't really like that. It was life kind of just went back to normal. I did have a test. I feel like a test. So as we're leaving Bali, we get on the plane flying to Doha, and I had this very intense dream. I was so discombobulated after this dream, and I was flying in a plane with my grandfather who's passed, and he was looking very worried at me. The plane was like shaking. And I looked at him and I said, I started to get a little scared. And then I was like, what am I afraid for? I'm not going to die till I'm 83. So there's no reason to be afraid. Right. So the plane, then I'm flying and I saw angels and I was like, oh, angels are real. And then the plane took a turn and there was Jesus and he had children. He was all surrounded by children. And he looked at me specifically as I flew by and said, feed my children. And then I heard freedom and I woke up. Now, I was so discombobulated. Let me tell you what happened. This led to a whole nother journey. I left my passport and my ID on the plane.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as I walk off the plane in Doha, I'm like, oh, no, I left it on the plane. And I run back to get it. They won't let me on there. They said, we found it. Go to gate A and you can pick it up. I'm like, okay. Only to find out that from that point forward, I never saw it again. So now I'm stuck in Doha by myself, no ID, no money, no nothing.
None but faith.
Phone, except for my phone.
Only faith.
And I'm getting a little unnerved. Let's put it like that. I'm trying to remain calm. I'm putting my practices. I was on a spiritual journey. I'm trying to put my practices into place.
Yes.
A military came and escorted me to an undisclosed location in the middle of Doha. That was a little unnerving to find copies that I had to put in my luggage. So now they're contacting the embassy. I tried to check into a hotel, but I have no ID and I have no money. So that kind of makes that impossible. I can't make this stuff up. Receipts for all of this. As I'm sitting there waiting to see if I can get a hotel room, all of the fire alarms in the building start going off. And they're telling us to evacuate the building.
What a trip.
And I said, I'm going to have to sit here and let it burn because I can't leave this airport. If I leave, they'll never let me back in. I have no
I ain't got no idea. I ain't got no proof of who I am. Right. What are you talking about? Leave.
Okay.
Right.
So we got through that. They figured out what the problem was. At this point, I'm starting to get a little upset with things. I'm like, are they even going to let me go home? Like, I don't even know at this point. So I had went to the desk, and there was, as I'm thinking these thoughts, there's a sign behind me, and it's like one of those signs where the words are all going across it like that. And it was basically, the gist of it was like, I don't plant, no tree grows without my permission. No flower is placed without me placing it there, type of deal. Okay. And I'm like, okay. So this guy comes from nowhere. He sees me. This is the only time I started to like get really upset. And I really wanted to cry. I was starting to get kind of scared. This guy comes out of nowhere and he says, no. Everything happens for a reason. There is a reason for all of this. What do you need? I will help you. Do you need food? I will send you to a place to get food. Do you need a shower? Do you need a bed? What do you need? I will help you. And he helped me he pointed me in the direction to get all of my basic needs met while I was there. Because I was there for 28 hours in the airport. So I go back to find the guy to thank him because he was a light of hope in the darkness, only to find he could not be found.
Yeah.
I could not find him anywhere to thank him.
I love these kinds of stories.
So the short of it, I ended up eventually getting on the plane and coming home. But that was kind of like my adventure and my spiritual experience that honestly is still affecting my life right now. Because I don't forget these things, and the realness of it all, it just kind of changed the trajectory of where I'm going. Literally.
It sounds so when I mentioned like after all of the experiences in Bali, and I said, well, it sounds like you were activated or whatever, right? I mean, I imagine any person of any spiritual, value or thought would say that's probably what happened. But if you're saying you haven't really figured that out yet, I would just say that's probably still like manifesting itself.
I believe so. Yeah. It's not just like, okay, you've experienced, now you're done. It's like, okay, you've started, now you're going to grow.
Yes. That's exactly the idea that I got from that, because I don't think, the average person's having that level of experience when they go on vacation. You know what I mean?
Well, it was a spiritual retreat.
Well, yeah, I agree. But yeah, that sounds extremely wonderful. I'll say that.
It was.
Yeah.
I loved every second of it except for, the Doha. I mean, I maybe could have lived without, but it's a great story now.
Yeah. And it's validation of and acceptance of powers outside of you. You know what I mean?
Yes. My takeaway from that experience was, no matter what situation you're in, you have people to help you. Their help will be sent. Like, you're not on your own. Even though how much more alone could you feel in a foreign country with no ID by yourself?
Yes.
But still, even in that extreme situation, I was not alone.
Yeah. And at the point where you were about to cry, probably every man that you know would probably have been at that same point. Like, I'm about to cry, dog.
But when the military, when like soldiers come and say, come with us, and you're going through tunnels and you're like, where am I going? And they will not answer you. It's like, okay.
Oh no, not the human trafficking story.
Right. It's like, I'm about to be a sex.
We got a blonde American lady. They got $1 million prize here. We got a blonde American. Sorry, world. It's just the times we live in. I'm just but anyway, wonderful story. And I know I've kept you for a while, and I don't want to keep you. I know you said you had your grandchildren, I think.
Oh yeah, I found other places for them to go today, so we're good.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. That's wonderful.
But
Well, is there anything else you wanted to share? Is there more?
no, I think that's the gist of it. I mean, there's lots of other things, but I won't bore you guys with that. Or maybe we'll do that on a later date of prophetic dreams and, people who are about to pass and they come and tell me.
I am glad that you mentioned that. This will be one of our last thoughts and we'll be wrapping it up here soon. But I do remember you mentioning a dream about my mom. Is that true?
Yes, I did have a dream.
I just faintly remembered it, and I'm like, oh yeah.
I did have a dream about your mom, and I feel like she just kind of wanted to let you know, like, she's all right, because you were in the dream. And maybe, I don't know if the time I reached out to you, if maybe you were struggling with it a little bit, but she specifically wanted you to know that she is okay.
And there was something else. There was more.
She said there was, I can't remember offhand. I'm trying to think. She was in my living room. So, and she was telling you not to be disappointed about something. There was something she did not want you to feel disappointed about.
Okay, and that fits more in this time than it did when you told me originally, because I didn't quite understand then.
I didn't either. And I almost didn't reach out to you because I'm like, okay, this is somebody I don't really talk to on a regular basis. It just look like message and be like, hey, by the way, had a dream about your mom. She wants you to know, don't be disappointed. Everything's okay.
Right. Yeah. I think I understand what all that means now. And I thank you for happening to be that medium. You know what I mean?
My pleasure. Yeah. I have let the spirits know. Please only come to me in my dream state. I'm not prepared for the wake state. I'm not prepared for that. Yeah. That's important. I mean, like I said, I often pray for all of my like I pray, for my spiritual insights to be heightened, right? And so I was talking to Aubrey about this because this is something real quick I'll share. And I feel like it's starting to happen, right? Uh-huh. Like the consistency of attention towards it and my prayer towards it. And it's almost like how you can feel somebody walk behind you, right? You can feel that presence. Yes.
So we don't really know what we can call that presence that we feel, we ain't got no words for it, but we can feel, hey, somebody, you can feel that. You can feel when someone stares at you, right?
Yes.
But the presence of someone walking behind you. So it's like that presence is being extended out further. And I imagine that, so it's almost like the feeling of whatever that presence is that lets you feel someone walking behind you is extending further. And so just say maybe it's 9 or 10 or 12 inches out from me. It feels like it's kind of dense there, and it dissipates as it gets a little further out. But I feel like the more I focus on it, give attention to it, and pray on it, that the energy that is close to me will extend out into this area that is further as well. Like I feel, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah,
it is. If you haven't experienced
somebody, it's almost like I can almost feel a few weeks ahead of me. Like I can almost, you know what I'm saying? Like getting the energy of, oh yeah, something's about, something's coming, something's about to, so
honestly, I feel like all of us have that. It's just if you pay attention to it or acknowledge it or not dismiss it as, I'm just being this or being that or whatever. Because there have been times in my life where I could feel things coming. I wouldn't know what it was, and and mine comes like I can't sleep. When I get to the point where I'm like, I'm tossing and turning, I can't sleep, but there's really no reason for me not to be able to sleep. Something's about to happen.
Right. Well, yeah, like I said, this has been great. I don't want to shade any other of my guests, but you have been my best guest. I think this was the best show that I've done. I'm really excited. Yeah, real talk. This is exciting. You gave me chill bumps over and over. So, you know what I mean? I can't beat that as a host. And I think, yeah, I'd love to have you again. We can talk, like you said, more about your prophetic dreams and other spiritual experiences that you've had. And I think this is going to do wonders for our community.
Well,
I
I'm
think,
so thrilled to be a part of it. I really am. And thank you so much for having me on. I've really enjoyed it. It's been
yeah,
fun.
yeah, I did too. I think the people will, and I definitely appreciate it. And we'll do it again soon, hopefully.
All right.
To the people, I'm glad you are all here. I think this was one of my best, and I'm quite excited about it. I'm quite, feeling kind of proud of myself. So anyway, as I like to say, all roads lead to spirit.
They do.
Yes, all roads lead to spirit. And so that's my little tagline. And one day I may even go ahead and copyright that. But
Here you go.
that's where we're headed to. And I'm glad you all were here, and we're going to end our session here. Is there anything else you want to share with the people before you get out of here?
I just want to tell everybody thank you for joining us, and I hope you had as much fun as we did.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again, Tammy, and we'll see you guys in the future.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.